Hi, my name is Willem and today I'm going to be doing a review of the 2013 documentary Room 237. Room 237 is a documentary about the running themes of The Shining and kind of possible ideas that Stanley Kubrick may have thought about whilst making about the film. The documentary is directed by Rodney Ascher, who, as far as I'm known, this is probably his most well-known piece of work. The possible themes and ideas that are thought of in the documentary are basically thought of by critics of the film. A lot of the critics are people who are kind of a long-running Stanley Kubrick fans, and at the beginning they mostly give their kind of reasons of what they first thought of the movie at the beginning. A lot of them hated it, a lot of them didn't know what the hell they watched, and it kind of inspired them to go watching over and over again, to then find these kind of ideas and themes of what the film may be really about. A lot of the themes and ideas are kind of surrounding stuff about the kind of genocide of Native Americans. They give kind of explanations of this through the architecture around the Overlook Hotel, as well as like canisters of Native Americans with their faces on them. And other ideas are on stuff about the kind of Holocaust, how it's a kind of pastiche on that. And of course it dives into the whole Stanley Kubrick directed the moon landing thing, which is well established in the documentary, as they give a very good kind of detailed reasons of why this may be. While this is probably the most well-known theme in the documentary, it's also very interesting hearing other themes and kind of conspiracies as well. A lot of the kind of conspiracies are far-fetched and bullshit, but a lot of them are pretty good as well. There's some ones which are very interesting and definitely make you think about the film again and what it could mean. I think the one which is probably the most interesting is still the Stanley Kubrick directed the moon landing one, mainly because the evidence they give you in that is actually quite solid. There's a scene in the film where the character Danny kind of is wearing a jumper of a rocket t-shirt of NASA on it, and he kind of gets up, which signifies that the rocket kind of gets up, and he goes to the room 237. Distance of 237 is the same amount of distance between the Earth and the Moon, supposedly. Well, it's roughly, I'd say. Quite a lot of the film is also about the production of details of the film and kind of like why Stanley Kubrick decided to change some bits from the book to the film. There's also quite a really funny one where they changed the cars of one of the characters, of the main character's car, and now it's supposedly a purpose middle finger to the book writer Stephen King. Probably my biggest complaint of the film is the production. The production is very cheap. A lot of it is mainly just stock footage of the film. I can understand that they'll use it, it's pretty much their main resource, but they kind of use it to a point where it's kind of like they reuse same bits of footage, and it's kind of like we've seen that. It's kind of like, you know, it's a bit boring. It's kind of what I would expect, but I feel like they could possibly do something a bit more maybe. I feel like they could probably have maybe their own kind of visuals to add to it as well, which would have been interesting. There was one visual they had in it which was pretty good, but they kind of done they could have done more of that. And also the fact that the audio that they got with it, it's very cheap audio. The contributors that come into the film and talk about the film, they just sound like they did their own audio in their own house. And I feel like for a documentary like this, they should possibly go into a studio and record dialogue rather than doing their own house. That just sounds too convenient for them. And it's also more evident where you can possibly hear stuff in the background as well when they're talking. One of them does mention it. He's like, "Oh, sorry for the dogs in the background." It's kind of funny, but at the same time it is like, come on dude, you should... yeah. But overall, I really liked this documentary. I thought it was definitely very interesting hearing people's takes of what the film could possibly mean. Definitely go into this documentary with a grain of salt, because a lot of them are very much just fabricated kind of ideas and themes. Some of it is basically them looking into the film a bit too much. I've kind of had that problem myself with my own kind of films, where some people read into it too much and they'll be like, that was very clever what you did there. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? That weren't my intentions at all. And I possibly feel that probably is the case with these guys and Stanley Kubrick. I feel like a lot of the stuff that in there are possibly just stuff that was just in the film for its own sake. But anyways, thanks for watching this review, and I hope it inspires you to go and watch the documentary.